United Lutheran Seminary presents the Seminary Explores podcast, conversations on faith, art, people, politics, theology, life, and more, with voices from around the corner and around the globe.
Welcome to the Seminary Explores. My name is Nelson Strobert, and my guest today is Dr. Darla Swan, who is the Synod Ecumenical Representative of the Lower Susquehanna Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Welcome to the Seminary Explores.
Thank you, Dr. Strobert. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, well, it's good to have you here, and we're going to be discussing a topic which I don't think many people discuss around the table very often, and yet we're all affected by it, and that is the ecumenical movement or ecumenism. Could you describe or define ecumenism for us?
Yes, I would be glad to. Actually, the word ecumenical and ecumenism comes from the Greek ekumene, which really means the whole inhabited earth. And that fits perfectly with what our ecumenical work has been in the ELCA and beyond, because we understand that to be Lutheran is to be ecumenical, first of all, and that we are committed to a kind of oneness which God calls us to, and invites us to reach out in all directions simultaneously to those that believe in the gospel.
Oh, okay. So it really forces us to think outside of our congregation, outside of our denomination, to the Church Universal.
Absolutely. We are not limited, in other words. And this is certainly based on strong scriptural foundations, particularly in John 17:21, that Christ prayed that his followers would be one so that the world might believe.
Right.
Of course, the ecumenism in the congregations is absolutely vital because that's where most people hear about it and live it out. But I sense that there is a strong need when we're talking about local ecumenism to also be talking about the global implications, especially in today's various cultures.
Could you say some more about that?
Yes.
The global implications.
Yes. Well, for example, most of the ecumenical agreements and covenants and so forth that we have been able to bring about, have global implications. I'm thinking about. One that comes to my mind would be the very recent declaration on the way between Lutherans and Roman Catholics. That, of course, has implications for us at the grassroots, but it has worldwide implications as well.
Right.
Just one example. That would also be true, particularly for Lutheran Episcopal.
Right. You mentioned you mentioned a term, ecumenical agreements.
Yes.
What are ecumenical agreements for our listening audience?
Okay. Well, they could be a variety of things, but when I use the term, I am thinking particularly of the agreements that came about through our ecumenical work in the ELCA when we drafted a statement on ecumenism, which was Ecumenism, a Vision of the ELCA.
That's
and it
right.
became an official policy statement. And in that statement, there was a kind of invitation as well as a mandate to bring about full communion with as many churches as we could, where that was appropriate. And of course, this was based on many years of dialogue prior to this ecumenism statement.
Right.
But the agreements ultimately were to result in some kind of situation where we would be sharing the sacraments and even exchanging ministries.
Oh, okay.
And I can say more about the full communion agreements if you.
Well, what are those agreements? Which denominations do we have these agreements with?
Now, our ecumenism statement says that we, as I mentioned, we are to reach out in all directions simultaneously with those, particularly with those who believe in the Trinity.
Right.
And so it would be much easier if we were just focused on one and then another and so forth, but we're to work on these all at one time. A very good example would be, of course, the Lutheran Reformed and the Lutheran Episcopal, because those were two of the traditions where we already had very significant dialogues and already had major agreements on the salient points, agreements in doctrine. There was a term that we used called satis est, which means it is enough. In other words, if we can agree on certain points, then we should be able to enter into full communion.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Well, I remember as a seminarian and as an undergraduate, the ecumenical movement seemed to be robust, and people were talking about it, and we had dialogues between Lutherans and Roman Catholic students. Seminarians were going down to exchanges with Roman Catholic seminarians, and I was part of, and at the Gettysburg campus of the United Lutheran, there was the Lutheran House of Studies.
Oh, yes.
Which was an ecumenical bringing together of students in terms of their theological studies. So it was robust, and now there doesn't seem to be that same conversation, or the conversations seem to be lessened. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, when you say, of course, the Lutheran House of Studies in Washington, D.C., that's near and dear to my heart, because that is really where I got involved and interested in the ecumenical movement per se.
Oh, okay. Could you just say what that House of Studies was?
Yes.
Or is, yeah.
That was a special program that was designed to do a number of things. It wasn't just about ecumenism, certainly. It was designed to give those of us who perhaps had only done ministry in rural areas or suburban areas to have at least a taste of what ministry was like in the urban area.
Right, exactly.
And in the Lutheran House of Studies, we had an opportunity to do many things, one of which was to experience the various traditions, Roman Catholic, Episcopalian. In my experience, it was primarily Roman Catholic because I took a course at the Catholic University of America, and this was counted toward my coursework here at Gettysburg Seminary. But I thought, oh my goodness, this is so enlightening. This is a whole different world. This is a whole different aspect of Christianity than what I had experienced. And it also had the very academic tinge to it, which I enjoyed. I took some courses at Theological College. I don't know whether this was your experience, Dr. Strober, but we spent time at the Paulist House interacting with them.
I lived at the Paulist House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember I was invited to actually preach there in one of the little services that they had, and so I got so involved with that ministry as well, and it just opened up a whole new world to me and got me thinking that we're able to be Lutherans and to be ecumenical at the same time. And in fact, that is our calling. That is what we are called to do.
Exactly. And so during your time, during my time, the ecumenical movement seemed to be robust.
Yes.
Do you see a decline in the conversation?
Well, thanks for pulling me back to that. I wish I could say no, it's just the way it was, but sadly it isn't. Dr. Michael Root, a colleague of ours, recently wrote an article about the ecumenical winter. And we were sitting at our LARC officers representatives meeting, Lutheran, Anglican, Roman Catholic, over at the Catholic Diocese of Central Pennsylvania, and we had this article, and we decided we just did not want to accept that this is an ecumenical winter. Maybe things have slowed down a bit.
Okay.
But some of us were saying, isn't there a winter before you sow some more seeds and have a harvest?
Okay.
So that's one aspect. And then also, we need to keep in mind that the ecumenical movement is something we're called to by our Lord.
You're right.
That none of these agreements could have taken place without the Holy Spirit being part of it, interacting in all of our lives.
Right.
And so perhaps it's just a matter of trusting that God will get us out of this kind of winter attitude that some of us may have. There's another factor, too, that we were discussing. The world has changed quite a bit than the world of those 60s that we remember.
Yes.
And so perhaps, rather than just focusing on the documents themselves, we need to focus on some of the common crises that we are facing as Christians working together. So our last couple of LARC Day of Dialogues focused on the crisis, terrorism, war. We had a Mennonite representative there to talk to us about what the peace churches, the historic peace churches, have to say. So we kind of got away from just focusing on the documents and their implications to getting into how can we as Christians together take a look at some of the crises that we are facing in this world.
Right. It would be another avenue for ecumenical work.
Another avenue for ecumenical work, indeed. Maybe a more difficult one, but perhaps one that our agreements have prepared us to face.
Exactly.
That's the way I would look at it.
And it also seems to me what you're saying is that it would also involve the grassroots. That is, in terms of congregational members.
Yes.
At that level, who are dealing with these issues, in their daily work.
Absolutely. The last congregation where I served as an interim, there were so many issues that people shared with me that they were dealing with. I could hardly believe it, but I know it's the reality. And they're all issues that are, they're not just Lutheran. Certainly, they're issues that we need to face together.
Right. Exactly. I introduced you as the synodical ecumenical representative, and what is your responsibility in that position?
Well, first of all, I have responsibility for working with the other representatives, officers in the LARC Covenant, for providing what we call a LARC Vespers every year, and that is when we have a worship service, and of course it's open to the public. We sadly cannot share the Eucharist, but we do everything we can to pray together, The one we did in 2017 was here on this campus.
Oh.
And we re-signed this covenant, this LARC covenant.
Oh, okay.
And each of the bishops signed it. And then Bishop Ronald Gaynor of the Catholic Diocese spoke, and Bishop Dunlap said to me afterwards, "Is that the first time that a Catholic bishop has spoken in this chapel?" And I said, "I don't know, but it could be."
Wow, that was a historical event.
Well, we didn't advertise it that way,
exactly.
But I think that it was. And so that's one thing. And then we, the officers meet on a regular basis, and we invite others to have lunch with us. And we also have a LARC Day of Dialogue. And we've done that in a variety of ways. We have had one speaker. For instance, we had Bishop Emeritus Don McCoy talk about Declaration on the Way. That was 2017. And then in the last 2 years, we've had several representatives rather than just have one speaker and get their take on a particular issue. So that's part of it. I must say Bishop Dunlop is very open to any suggestions I have. And one of the things...
And he's the bishop of the Lower Susquehanna Synod.
Yes.
Right.
And one of the things that I've had a particular interest in is some kind of Christian-Jewish dialogue. Now, I realize that's beyond ecumenical, but that has been, I believe, quite well received. We have a Lutheran Jewish Christian Jewish Bible study right now.
Oh, really?
At Bethel, and we discussed a book called Short Stories by Jesus, written by Amy Jill Levine, and it shocks some people, but it's a Jewish scholar who has examined the parables of Jesus.
Yes.
And so to be in a setting where we are looking at the parables with our Jewish brothers and sisters has been enlightening.
That's the word that was coming to mind as you were explaining this.
Yes. So that is what we're hoping to do, is make an opportunity for the public to get involved in that kind of discussion. You asked about the slowing down, it would appear, of the ecumenical work. Part of it is financial, quite frankly.
Oh, okay.
But then that has to do with the interest that people have in ecumenism and how much they're willing to give financially in other ways to support the movement.
Right. But the other thing that comes to mind as you were talking is that you had responsibilities for the national church.
Yes.
Prior to that,
I did.
What was your position there?
Well, my position was associate director in what was, at the beginning, 1987, the Department for Ecumenical Affairs.
Okay.
And I had responsibility for what was called, and I think is still called, the reception process.
Okay. Could you? Now you need to explain that.
I will. That had to do with what we said in those days, getting the results of the dialogues into the hands of the grassroots or at the local level. So that it didn't become a, kind of from the top down kind of thing. So we tried to get those people. That was one of the goals of the Ecumenical Representatives Network, to get local clergy and laity involved in interpreting the documents. But my job involved helping them do that. And so I wrote study guides. I did a video that went out to all of our congregations. This was all prior to 1997, when we had the votes on the two full communion proposals, and so there was kind of an excitement about it. So here we're going to be entering into full communion, so we need to know what's in the documents, what the implications are, and so forth. So that was pretty much my responsibility at first, and then moving on a little bit to the global, because this became part of my responsibility. I was invited to serve as the ecumenical liaison officer from the ELCA to the Lutheran World Federation.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense. Which meant that I was still based in the church-wide office, but that I was going to Geneva and other places throughout the world, actually, to help to interpret what was going on ecumenically and to take a leadership role. So that was really quite exciting.
Oh, I would think.
I got to work with the Reverend Dr. Ishmael Noko.
Oh, yes.
And worked with him. Also worked with the Lutheran Church in Paris. And that's a small mission church that I know you know something about.
Yeah.
And also, I had an opportunity to go to Hong Kong the first time the LWF assembly was held in Asia. And I could go on and on about the opportunities that I had.
But your work is an example of the globalization of the movement.
Exactly.
That you're first based in Chicago at church-wide offices, but it spread.
It spread
to the global level.
And it was interesting. I was saying to someone recently, it may even have been you, that I can remember the LWF saying, well, we want to avoid this globalization. And how ironic that it has kind of turned around, that we're taking advantage of globalization to spread the gospel.
Exactly.
And it's interesting to see how much we have in common with other Lutherans and other Christians worldwide.
Yeah. It seems that it's so the movement breaks down suspicions, breaks down the walls of suspicion that denominations might have or congregants might have.
Absolutely. Because in a situation where you might say, well, this is what I believe, you find that someone from another tradition has the same belief, and you didn't even realize that, because these stereotypes get in the way.
Exactly.
Because I had primary responsibility for Lutheran Episcopal, I just could not believe some of the stereotypes on both sides.
Right, exactly.
About the other tradition. And when you sit down around a table and recognize these stereotypes and say, but we all believe in the gospel, we have enough of a common understanding of the sacraments. We don't have to have the same understanding, but the essential understanding, then things can move forward.
Right. Exactly. I can't believe our time is running out.
Oh my goodness!
But
I still want to talk about South Africa.
Okay. And I'd like to bring up for those in our listening audience who are getting excited about hearing about the ecumenical movement.
Yes.
What readings or how might they immerse themselves in the topic?
Well, first of all, I think and this is very typical of who I am, I would say go back to the original text. First of all, go back to the biblical text, read John 17, read that whole chapter, but also read the documents themselves. Yesterday, I went on to the website for the ELCA, elca.org, and all of the agreements are up there. They're very easy to access. And so our ecumenism statement, as well as the recently approved Declaration of Interreligious Commitment, a policy statement, that was approved last summer at our church-wide assembly. And that's also on the website.
Oh, good.
So I would say read those documents. And then I'm going to recommend a book that was certainly, in many ways, life-changing for me, and that was a book called Reception, an Ecumenical Opportunity, written by Dr. William Rush.
Oh, yes.
Who was the first director of the Department for Ecumenical Affairs in the ELCA.
Right.
And I don't know if that's still in print, but...
Well, you might find it on Amazon.
Yes, I'm sure you could find it on Amazon. And I think that is certainly a seminal document for any understanding of ecumenical work today. Also, I'd recommend Journal of Ecumenical Studies, which is very academically oriented.
Yes.
But that always comes up at our LARC meetings. And also Ecumenical Trends. That is published by the Graymore Ecumenical Institute.
Right.
And that gives you, there are some brief articles, there are some longer ones, but I think that's a good way to get an ecumenical education.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and you were also deciding on talking about South Africa.
Oh, yes. In 1993, well, no, that's another topic. The Faith and Order Conference of the World Council of Churches in Santiago de Compostela, Spain. Mm-hmm. I know we're almost out of time, but that was life-changing.
Say some more.
Okay, that was, oh my goodness, that the whole imagery of the journey, the ecumenical journey. And to be in that cathedral in Santiago, I had never been to Spain. Many of us had never been there. And to see, once again, as you said, to see another aspect of ecumenical work.
Right.
And the documents from that conference, I think, are still very, very helpful. But the one that I was making reference to is the Assembly of the World Council of Churches in Harare, Zimbabwe, in 1998.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I had never been to Africa, certainly never been to South Africa, and that is the most incredible place in the world, I must say, and I have traveled widely.
Yeah, I've been to Zimbabwe, yeah.
And I'm sure you have. So there was something, there were so many things in that assembly that were kind of off, but they all added up to the power of our Christian witness there.
Okay.
I mean, there were at the University of Harare. They had to hurry up to get everything ready for us to be there from all over the world.
Oh, that's right.
And so they had. There were these trenches that they had, and they just put cardboard boards over them and covered them with straw and so forth. And at the time, we thought, oh my goodness, but we could see everything that they did to make this a worldwide assembly.
Yeah.
And there were all kinds of strange things that happened. The electricity went out throughout the whole city one evening. And so it was a little frightening. And I didn't meet him, but we saw Nelson Mandela get on a plane.
Right, yeah.
But there was a certain power there in that assembly that I've never experienced anywhere else, I must say.
That's
the witness to the gospel.
Yeah, which is a good place for us to end our conversation, because the ecumenical movement is a witness to the gospel that we hear and we preach and study.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate your taking time to be with us.
My pleasure, Dr. Strobert.
My guest today has been Dr. Darla Swan, who is the synodical ecumenical representative of the Lower Susquehanna Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, and we were discussing the ecumenical movement. For the Seminary Explorers, this is Nelson Strobert. Have a good day.
You have been listening to The Seminary Explorers, a production of United Lutheran Seminary with campuses in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, We invite you to visit our website at unitedlutheranseminary.edu. Opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of United Lutheran Seminary or the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.